Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is a pretty exciting day, at least for me. I'm pretty excited about the car we are going to look at today. We are looking at the very first, this is our first look at the 2025 Hot Wheels F1 wave of diecasts. This is pretty cool. I've been talking about this for years, this sort of inclusion of F1 into popular brands, popular stores. We're finding cars in Target, finding cars in Walmart. You know, Lego are doing a lot with F1. A lot of big brands getting involved with F1, and now Hot Wheels is on the train. Probably one of the most well-known, most successful toy brands pretty much of all time. You know, I think of like Hot Wheels, Lego, and I don't know, I guess Barbie maybe might be another big toy brand. That's the big three, at least off the top of my head. This is our first look at the Hot Wheels F1 cars. We're going to take a look at the Red Bull today. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what this brand, what this wave of Hot Wheels F1 stuff is going to be like. Because there's actually two types of F1 diecasts that are coming out, which I wasn't even like aware that there were two different types for quite a while. But basically, what we have here is the kind of generic F1 diecasts. You can see in the bottom, Oracle Red Bull Racing. It doesn't say it's the RB20. This is just a Red Bull. There's a lot of cars. There's most of the teams are coming out except for Ferrari and Aston Martin. And in this generic wave, I believe all the cars have the exact same molding and just different liveries. And they also don't have specific drivers. You can see this is not Max Verstappen. This is not Sergio Pérez. This is just Red Bull Racing. These are going to be the cheaper of the two alternatives. And these cars are out now. You'll probably be able to find them in pretty much any store because Hot Wheels are pretty much sold everywhere, as long as the scalpers don't get to them first, which I'm assuming that they already have. The other Hot Wheels variant, I don't know specifically what they're called. They're only available for pre-order online right now. They're more detailed, more accurate, rubber tires, and they are driver specific. So you will be able to get specific drivers in the more detailed wave. I'm assuming those cars are going to be similar to a Spark 1/64th, at least to a certain degree. Like, this is a model car, not really, like, this is definitely a toy. I think the other Hot Wheels cars are going to be somewhere in between. I mean, this is probably used as a toy too. I'm not going to try and sound all high and mighty, but this is sold as, you know, a model. So the other Hot Wheels cars, I don't know if they're going to be sold in stores like these ones, or it's going to be kind of an online exclusive thing. We'll take a look at those when they finally release and I get a chance to pick one up. But for now, we are going to take a look at the Red Bull. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to think, what you have to say about these cars, because I know a lot of my viewers, it's kind of split, you know. A lot of my viewers do not like these sort of toy-y cars as much. This is definitely a toy, you know. The details, I can already tell without opening it that the details are not as good as anything I've ever really reviewed before, but that's, you know, that's not the point, you know. And I think it's really cool that stuff like this is coming out, but I'm also really interested to see what you guys have to think about these, given the fact that the details are probably not going to be as good. I have no idea what the country of origin of this particular one is. I bought it off of eBay. I have not seen these in store yet, and I've done a lot of talking up to this point. So let's just bust into the box. This will be the easiest opening I've ever done, except I'm really bad at these kind of jewel cases. It's not really what it is, but I've never been pretty good at opening these boxes. There we go. No cards, no fancy pantsy, you know, whatever stuff. Here it is, the Oracle Red Bull Racing. As I said earlier, this is not the RB20, and I think all of these F1 cars look exactly the same compared to each other. It doesn't matter if it's a McLaren or a Williams or a Haas or a Red Bull. Like, it's gonna have this molding, and I have no idea what this molding is based off of. I don't know if this was an old mold that Hot Wheels is just reusing for this F1 stuff, or they specifically built this for F1. I've got I don't know. It could be either way. There's some stuff on this car that when we take a closer look on the table, I'll show you that makes me think that this was a mold for something else and they're just reusing it. But let's get this car onto the table and take a closer look. And here it is, the Hot Wheels Oracle Red Bull racing car. And what I'm going to say about this car is not going to surprise anyone. If you're surprised by this, then, you know, that probably says something about your life, because what I'm about to say is the least shocking thing ever. This is a Hot Wheels car. I know, no shit, Sherlock, yeah, it's a Hot Wheels car. But no, this is exactly what I would expect from a cheap Hot Wheels car that you can get anywhere. It isn't bad, but it isn't that, you know, it's a cheap toy car, you know? It feels pretty good. It actually has plastic tires, which is something that, you know, pretty much every Hot Wheels has, every kind of generic Hot Wheels has, but it's something I've never really dealt with on this channel. I don't think I have a single F1 diecast that has plastic tires. And what's weird is that they didn't really shave them up. Like, there's this piece that I think came from when the wheel was taken off the mold. This extra piece of plastic. It's also on this front wheel here a little bit, like in the middle there. These wheels are all clean though. It's diecast. I really like the blue. I don't think it looks like the Red Bull blue really at all, but I do think it's a nice looking blue color. They've got a lot of sponsors on here. I don't think this is accurate to the RB20 at all, really, in terms of sponsorship. I mean, it is to some extent. There are a lot of sponsors that are there, but, you know, I know the Red Bull livery is really simple, but we got a simple Red Bull here, and then it's just kind of blue everywhere. There is absolutely no driver detail whatsoever. It's molded in there. There's a guy molded in there, and he's got a steering wheel, but no detail on him whatsoever. But I also I wasn't really expecting there to be that much detail for this particular generic. This is the cheap version, so it's like, I still think it's cool, you know, like it's definitely what I expected kind of from this car. There are a couple things that are interesting. These, the wheel covers kind of, they are really big and kind of obnoxious. Oh my gosh, I can't freaking talk. Obnoxious looking. It looks like an X-Wing from Star Wars, much less like an F1 car. Like, it looks like this is more of an aerodynamic element, which it is to some extent, but it is very, very noticeable. I think the most interesting thing, though, is on the back. They've got it's a bumper. Like, it's almost like the covers that I think they were testing to sort of block out the rain a little bit, but this car has a rear bumper. Or like the old DW12 Indy car. This car has a rear bumper for some reason. They left it on there. That's one reason that I almost think this is a mold. This was a mold they made for like a Grand Prix car, but not specifically F1. And they've just reused it, but now with F1 liveries. But this definitely, it does the part of a generic F1 car, I think. It hits all the hallmarks. It's got the T-cam. Like, it looks like an F1 car, even if it's not particularly like any of them. I will say the one thing that I probably definitely don't really like about this car is the wheels. Not really the fact that it has plastic tires, but the yellow on the wheels. Is this really what the Red Bull looked like? I just had to look it up, and yeah, the RB20 does not have these yellow wheels, so I'm not sure why they decided to color them like this. Maybe just because they didn't want them to be black, or maybe the sort of pad printing or whatever they do to color these wheels, maybe they just have to do it, so they did it. There are also a few spots on this car where it looks like the paint is lighter. I feel like any place that it's sort of a lighter blue is like a spot the paint didn't hit very well. I'm getting real close. I know it's going out of focus, but right here under the rear wing, a hard to hit place. You know, This is as expected, I think. If I was a kid, this would be really cool. I didn't really collect Hot Wheels when I was a kid. But yeah, I think, I know a lot of people might not like this, but I think it's a great step. It's a cheap F1 diecast, which has not always been something we could find, especially in 1/64 scale. Like the Barago cars are cheap, but 1/64 scale is the holy scale of diecast cars. Like, this is the toy. When you grew up, when you were a kid, these are the size the cars were, and there has not always been a lot of F1 1/64 diecasts, and Spark released a lot of them, but they're still pretty expensive for 1/64 scale. I feel like upwards of like $20. This, I don't know what these are retailing for, but I do know that some Hot Wheels are like $1 and like $2. So if you can find this car for that, I would say $5 and under. I have no idea what these are retailing for. Like I said, I bought this on eBay. I wouldn't spend like $10 really on this if I saw it in a store. But if it's a cheap car, I think it's good. I think it's good for what it is. It was built as a kind of a cheap car, and that's exactly what it is. Now we're going to do something totally unfair here, and I'm going to compare it to the Spark 1/64 scale from 2022. This is the RB18. Remember, this isn't technically the RB20, so we really can't compare it to anything except for this. And you can kind of see, yeah, it almost looks like a knockoff, like a fake car, like you would buy these on the bootleg markets. I know that's not exactly a good thing to say. If this was the only Hot Wheels they were making, if they weren't making the expensive, more detailed ones, I shouldn't say expensive, they're not that expensive, the Hot Wheels, the other ones, but if they weren't making the more detailed, then yeah, maybe I would be a little bit more upset. But, you know, I'm not a kid anymore, so it's like you know, it's a cool thing. I guess you should get a kid to review these to really think how it's good. But if you were doing a little race on the carpet, I think this is perfect. It's got good clearance to like the table I'm sitting on, and it's not gonna break easily. You know, like the wishbones in here, just one solid hunk of plastic. I feel like you could still break this with aggressive play. Like, even though it's on a metal axle. But like I said, I think this is sold as a model, not really as a toy. So these are really coming from two distinctly different markets, really. They're marketed very different. I don't know why Spark didn't put the T-cams on the 2022 1/64 scale cars. They fixed that with the 2023, the Williams I have. So what do you guys think of this? It's definitely a really, really interesting new series of diecasts that are coming out, and I definitely will try to get more of these. Like I said, I haven't seen them in store yet. I've seen a 5-pack on eBay. I only bought this car on eBay because I wanted to make a video about it as soon as I could. I'm not really interested in buying the 5-pack on eBay. I'd rather find them in stores. I don't know how many cars are being sold as singles, like this Red Bull here. I've only seen the Red Bull and the Williams sold as a single online. I don't know if they're selling all of them as singles, or, you know, some singles, some can only be found in the 5-pack. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Hopefully, though, I can find something for a future video in the future. But yeah, the new Hot Wheels F1 diecast. What do you think of these? Are they terrible? I don't think they're terrible. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what else you want to see. That's going to do it for this video. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it. Leave a like, leave a comment, do all that YouTube stuff. And I will see you in the next video.